We're going to get started here just in a second. We'll let a couple more people shuffle in. Hope you all are safe and warm with all this weather happening across the state.
Good morning.
Hi. Okay, I'm going to get my screens going.
Testing, can you help me?
We can hear you now, Adalberto. All right, welcoming everyone in. As they shuffle in, we'll give everyone just a couple minutes. Thank you again for your patience. Okay, we'll probably start around 10:03 just to let people keep coming and shuffling in. We're so excited to have you. We appreciate you coming in and listening to our presentations this morning. I will make a plug. I'll talk about this in just a second, but did have you come in muted to this session and just ask that you stay muted. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that, but just to reduce background noise, and it gets a little bit distracting if we can hear people chatting in the background. So we would really appreciate that. All right. It is 10:03. As promised, we will get started. So welcome, everyone. I want to make sure, okay, good, we are recording. I promised you a recording and I promised to deliver. So welcome, everyone. My name is Stacy Gordon. I'm the one you've been receiving all the emails from. I am a learning and development specialist here with the Oregon Employment Department, and I am so excited to be your host today for our exclusive webinar, Better Together, Essential Resources for Businesses. So over the next 90 minutes, we will explore a variety of resources that can have a significant impact on your business. We'll hear from experts across multiple state departments, covering key topics such as hiring veterans, navigating foreign labor certifications, and exploring tax incentives, just to name a few. So no matter your business needs, we have hopefully got you covered. So before we dive into today's content, I just want to take a moment to go over some of the key features available during this session to ensure a smooth experience. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of these Zoom features that we have, just so we have it all down before we get started. So first, we're going to discuss the chat feature. And you'll find the chat icon at the bottom of your screen in the menu, and it's represented by a little speech bubble labeled chat. So clicking on it will open the chat panel. So it's that white panel on the right side of your screen. And that's where you can send the whole group messages, or you can send them privately to myself or any of the hosts today. If you want to change the audience from everyone, because it defaults to everyone, just click on that down caret next to the everyone, and you can choose the participant you'd like to send that message to. I will let you know that during our presentation, I'm going to disable the chat just to limit distractions, but you'll always be able to message myself or the other co-hosts if you have any questions or you have a technical difficulty. So let's just practice. So everyone, find your speech bubble, open up your chat, and can you type in your name, where you're calling in from today, and potentially your business name if you'd like to share. So go ahead and start now. Oh, look at all this. This is awesome. It's so good to see everybody. You guys are coming from all over. Fantastic. Great. Keep them coming. I'm going to keep going. So next, I want to talk about the reactions button. So you'll find the reactions button right next to the chat feature. So we know you're familiar with that one. It's a small heart. And that will give you the opportunity to interact with the session if you want to. You can give a thumbs up or a clap. You can also raise your hand in that feature. That will be more applicable in our breakout rooms. But if you accidentally hit a button, don't worry. It's just going to show everyone and then it will go away. So don't worry about that. So next we want to talk about the breakout rooms. So we are going to use breakout rooms at the end of this session. So the last 30 minutes will be for breakout rooms only. So each presenter will host a breakout room for their respective program. And so when it's time, a prompt will appear on your screen listing the available rooms. Just simply click on join to enter your preferred session. I will let you know that it may change your mute settings. So just check on that once you enter the room, just to make sure you're muted or unmuted, whatever your preferred is. You will also have the flexibility to move rooms. So let's say you started in business services and you want to move over to VR, you can do that. Just simply click on the breakout room icon. It's a white square with 4 squares inside. If it's not on your menu, you may need to click that more button to find it. And last, we're going to talk about muting and unmuting. So this one is going to be really important for our webinar today. I know I mentioned it briefly, but I'll say it again because it's worth it. If you will find your microphone icon on the bottom left of your screen. So currently you should all be muted. If not, go ahead and click that and mute yourself. You do have the availability in this meeting to mute and unmute because we want you to contribute in those breakout sessions. But however, during these presentations, we kindly ask that you have it muted just to minimize that background noise. And that wraps up our overview of today's meeting features. If you experience any technical difficulties, I'll keep my eye on the chat for you and feel free to reach out. So now let's dive into our agenda and discover how these essential programs can benefit your business. So first up, we have business services. I know on your screen it says Donovan's going to be presenting, but today we'll have Adalberto Rubio presenting, and that's a little gift from the snow. So we get Adalberto today, which we are very lucky. So Adalberto, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Stacy, and welcome everybody. My name is Adalberto Rubio. I am the business analyst with Workforce Operation and Employment Department, and also the business coordinator for the state. In business services, we help businesses and the recruitment needs. We connect businesses with resources that can be beneficial for you, and we also connect you with different tax incentives to support your business growth. In business services, we support business and promote employment. Because we have 39 offices around the state, we understand the unique business culture. We partner with different public and private entities to both support employees and job seekers around the state to ensure businesses have the labor they need. As you can see on this slide, we are partnered with all private and sector entities. We wanted to partner with anybody that are connected with employers to work or that have job seekers to make sure that we make that connection between job seekers and employers. We want to make that connection with employees that are successful and get the right talent for you all. So as you can see, we connect with the state agencies, economic development, with different partners around the state. Thank you, Stacey. You can go to the next one. I'm sorry. Again, we had 39 offices around the state, so we can understand your unique business challenges and growth. And also, as sector partnership, sector strategies are public and private partnership led usually by the local workforce board. We have 9 local workforce board that we coordinate and support them around the state. Our business representatives attend sector strategy meetings to ensure they keep the finger on the pulse of the labor market in every area. We want to know what's the labor market in Eastern Oregon, Southwest area, the Mid Valley. Every area is unique, so we want to make sure that we understand that labor market information. The sector strategies are regional and are based on region needs. The workforce board coordinators coordinate and address those workforce development issues and industry over the needs of the area. So we partner with the boards and different companies to support the labor market information in every area. One of the services that we offer and business services, you can go to the next slide. Thank you. Is staff assistant job listing. This is we again, like I mentioned at the beginning, we help business with their recruitment needs. One of the ways that we do that is by staff assistant job listed, is where we can do a site visit to understand your needs, understand the culture of the company, what is that you're looking for, understand the jobs that you're recruiting for, and then we can save you time in your recruitment planning. We can write your job listing for you. We can post the listing. We can search for candidates. We do all the work ahead of you, and we can send you 3 to 4 candidates that I'm sure 100% they qualify for the job, and you have the final decision on who you hire. So we do all the pre-work for you based on your business need, and then we send you one ultimate. You hire the person that you want for the job. Another requirement for the staff assistant. Next slide, please. One of the things for the staff assistant listing, we ask you to raise the number of skills, which is our labor exchange. We write a listing, we help you write a listing, we can make sure that we have all the qualifications, what the job entails, so making sure that we can bring the right talent for your plan. And then we meet with you and with a recruitment plan. How the recruitment is going to look, how many people do you want to see, what are the qualifications, do they need to have a resume, do you need to have a certificate? We cover all those on the recruitment plan, so when we screen people, we are sending people that are really going to get a good fit and they have the qualifications. In the recruitment plan, we talk about certificates, qualifications, but more important, we talk about is that going to be a good fit? What is the culture of the company? Do the company like to dress with a suit and more cash? Those kind of things, they need to work outside, inside. So when when the job sheet comes to you, they are really motivated to work in your company. And then one of the things that we offer is on-the-job training. This is kind of people that have, some lack of skills. We can help pay for that training costs on you. There's cash wage and reimbursement training opportunities, and this is very dependent in every area. But we offer around the state too. The way we work, we meet with you in person. We kind of talk about the requirements. You can go to the next slides. We can talk about the requirements of the on-the-job training, who is eligible for this, make sure the rest of them are skilled. We do all the paperwork. And before we put a person on the job training, we have to kind of make sure that we have a goal. What are the kind of skills that person is going to learn in 6 months on the training opportunity? And then we meet every 30, 60, 90 days and see the progress of that person is meeting those skills and learning more skills. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that person is ready with the skills to be successful in this job or another opportunity job that can be available for that customer. And then next slide. Please connect with us. We have, like I said before, we got 39 offices. We partner with LinkedIn also. We also put those listings that may be a good fit for promote those on LinkedIn, so we can get people from all over the state, all over the nation too. So we promoted that. We also advertise different events on LinkedIn so people can see what's going on around the state. We have a newsletter that we send out every month with all the events that we have. In every area, we have high events, success stories, new partnership that we have. So we all those put that on the newsletter every month. And if you wanted to subscribe, please do so. I will put the link at the end of the presentation so you can connect with us. And contact our team. Like I said, we have 39 offices. We have team around the state that we can partner with you and work together to make sure that we can help with your business and your recruitment needs, access tax credit, and access resources that can be beneficial for you and for your businesses. Please, this is the QR code. Yes, that have all our information, our contact information, how we work as a business services. And if you have more questions, you can come to my chat and we can answer the questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Adalberto. That was a great presentation. We appreciate it. We're going to keep moving right along. Next up, we have Jerry Flores reporting on recruit, hire, and retain veterans. Take it away, Jerry.
Hey, thank you, Stacy. Hey, good morning, everyone. Jerry Flores coming to you from a very frozen hillside out here on the Oregon coast. But thank you all for making the time to come in and see us. I'm going to be speaking about how our program, the Jobs for Veterans State Grant, could help your business grow, start, expand, and if you're a veteran, other services could offer you. So our program is called the Local Veterans Employment Rep. It's a misnomer. I'm not local to anything. I cover from Wilsonville down to the California border and west to the ocean. So I'm all over the place. I'll come and see you wherever you're at. Again, our program, the employment department gets funding from the Department of Labor, Jobs for Veterans State Grant, and every state gets it and all the territories get it. And then that funds our veteran services positions. We all get professionally trained by Department of Labor. We also do state and local training, so we know we're aware of the laws around hiring veterans and retention and such. Our goal, though, is to assist you in recruiting, hiring, and retaining those veterans out there. And when people say, hey, why should we hire veterans? We're going to get into that in a bit, but it's not just the right thing to do. Veterans bring a lot of skills and a lot of, as soon as they walk in the door, some of that great leadership. So there's 24 of us around the state. There's only 2 of us that do full-time leaver work. My partner up in Portland area, she covers the entire metro area, and then I cover the rest of the I-5 corridor. We have some half-time folks that do direct veteran employment services and part-time business outreach, because I really can't get over to the east side of the state often. So we have people covering there. So we'll come to you wherever you are. So the mission, again, LEVER's my acronym, Local Veterans Employment Rep. Anytime you think about hiring a veteran, we want you to think about, anytime you think about hiring, we want you to think about hiring the veterans and then the eligible spouses. To do that, we come and talk to you. We come to your business. If you don't have room or we can meet for coffee. I love going out for coffee. I know a lot of good coffee houses in Grants Pass, Medford, Eugene, Springfield, Salem. I love coffee. So we'll meet and have coffee and talk about how we can help you develop plans on how to recruit veterans, right? Again, like I said, it's not just the right thing to do. We have a great talent pool. The retention is very important. We could help you with retention plans. If you're struggling with a staff member or staff in general, we could help you develop plans of how we could do that. And really, the key being that it's a team effort. We'll work with you. We never tell anyone what to do. That's not part of our program. We don't tell our veterans what to do. We just offer tools and encouragement.
You have the monitor on? Oh, you don't have the monitor?
No. That wasn't me. So some of the things we do, like I said, we come and bring you resources. Later on in this presentation, we're going to talk about the work opportunity tax credit and federal bonding. But what I also do is I come out and meet you, like Adalberto mentioned, us knowing what your work site looks like and what the day-to-day entails makes a referral from a veteran to you that much more powerful. We're not going to refer someone to you who has issues with twisting at the waist or lifting above their shoulders if we've been to your work site and see that that's what's required, right? We want to make sure that the veteran that we refer to your business is ready to go to work for you within their own capacity as well. if you're expanding or opening a new business and you're wondering, hey, I wonder if I could find veterans that are pipe fitters or truck drivers or dentists, the answer is yes. We'll help you recruit those veterans because in the military, every job that we have out here in the civilian world, there's almost a 1-for-1 match in the military. All services except for my service, the Coast Guard, have truck drivers. Like designated, that's what they do from the time they sign on. They carry their M4 and they drive trucks, right? In convoys or whatever. We have warehouse folks, logistics folks, medical folks. So literally pretty much any, and then a lot of that we don't, but any civilian job that you may have, we have a pretty close, almost 1-to-1 equivalent in the military, and we'll help you reach those individuals. One of the key things that we do with businesses, though, is we form a partnership, right? I don't have a stack of resumes to bring you. If you call me and say, hey, come up next Tuesday, let's talk. But what I do is I take your information, share it with all our teams in the area that would be able to commute to your job. And on the flip side, I might reach out to you and say, hey, excuse me, company XYZ, I have a veteran who's really wanting to get into this industry. Could you look at this resume or maybe talk to him about the day-to-day of this job? And that's a really good tool when veterans are looking to go to school and they're not sure on their major and they're thinking, hey, I could be this, I could be that. Us putting them in front of a manager or a worker in your shop would give them a better insight into what their career choice may be. And it'll also create a partnership. So a lot of good tools for us to use. So I keep talking about hiring veterans and eligible spouses or veteran spouses, but why do you want that, right? What do we bring that's different from anybody else? Leadership, that functional leadership, right? Where there's a trash can kicked over, we're going to pick it up because it's kicked over and it shouldn't be, right? You don't have to tell us, and I'm being very general here, but if you walk into a WorkSource Oregon office and sit there and walk in every day, you'll be able to tell who the veterans in that office are. They're the ones that go outside and raise the flag. They're the ones that are welcoming you in the door and doing things like that, because it's stuff we were taught to do, right? Don't do it because you have to, do it because it's there and it needs to be done. We do that. When you hire a 24-year-old veteran, they're very different than a 24-year-old brand new college graduate. And the fact that these veterans have lived the life already, whether they were in combat or not, they've already been outside their comfort zone. They're away from mom and dad. They've been out there doing their thing, in charge of millions of dollars of equipment sometimes, in charge of plenty of other men's and women's lives. So you're not getting an immature young person running around. And then when you get to us folks in my age group, we're veterans. We're going to go on there and work with you. So we bring a lot to the table. And with that, there's a business case also. In 2019, Monster.com, if you guys remember that website, they were the first of the business websites, one of the firsts. They found that 54% of employers reported that veterans performed at a much higher level or at a higher level than non-veterans. And then publicly traded companies in 2019, another study found that 60% of firms reported that they had a 64% higher return than companies without that designation. And then in 2018, another study found that companies said veterans were retained at a higher level than non-veterans. So that's really important, right? It costs money to hire somebody. The conversation we hear is anywhere from $3,000 to $30,000, depending on the job. And recruitment time, posting the listings, HR worker time, drug tests, background checks, all that stuff. So why not retain people? And that's what we'll help you plan for. Again, we're resource finders. You could find us on the Oregon.gov website. We have an Indeed presence, a LinkedIn presence. Please ask me about the SHRM at Work certificate. It's amazing if you're thinking of promoting yourself to veterans. And again, we'll talk about tax credits and federal bondings coming up. And that is what I have for you. Please reach out to us. Again, we're all in LinkedIn. We're all over the place. And thank you so much for attending on this cold day. And then hopefully I'll see you over in our breakout room. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jerry. We appreciate you and all the work you do for our veterans. So I have the honor of introducing Greg Ivers. Greg, I'll let you take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Ivers. I'm with the Oregon Department of Human Services, and I am the State Business Outreach Coordinator, which means I have a statewide focus. What I do is I market and help explain contracting processes with state agencies and connect organizations with resources to help get state contracts. And I'm also expert in a number of workforce development programs, and we're going to cover some of those this morning. I also, as you can see on the first slide, represent the Oregon Health Authority at times too. We are sister agencies. My partner over on the OHA side, Heather Earlings, is not here today. But if you have questions about health equity or health programs, Medicare, Medicaid, Oregon Health Plan, Oregon Health Insurance Marketplace, I'm happy to connect you with Heather. Next slide. Thank you. Okay, what do we buy? Government buys everything. So I'm just going to kind of move it a quick clip through here. I know you can read what's on the screen, so we will not do death by PowerPoint and have me read all of that to you. So anyway, we do buy pretty much everything. There's over 80 state agencies, and no matter what your product is or what your service is, there is likely a market for that in state government. And again, there's some examples right in through here. ODHS, for example, we purchase mental health counseling, drug and alcohol counseling services. We buy painting services for our buildings, landscaping for our buildings, office furniture, office supplies, all kinds of things. So if you would like to have a conversation and explore what state agency might have some money for me in the vein of grants or contracts or what have you, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my contact information in the comments here when I'm done, and it's also on the last slide, but I can help you explore that. And there are resources out there also to help you to get contracts with state agencies and also with other government entities, be that county, school districts, the federal government, and so on. And I can assist with that. Next slide. So this is kind of a preview. We're going to be talking about this in different programs. These are hiring incentive programs that can be used either by you as a small business or for yourself, or you as a small nonprofit director for yourself or for your employees as well. So next slide. So the first one is the Work Experience Program. This is a program where you can get an unpaid worker. They're like a volunteer. There's different labor laws that govern them than volunteers, so we usually say unpaid. They're more like an unpaid intern is really kind of how you would classify them. And so if you were interested in giving somebody on public assistance programs an opportunity to learn and be mentored by you, you could get somebody at your organization. So this would be a very part-time person, usually 20 hours or less. You don't pay them. ODHS covers workers' compensation in case there's an injury on the job. So that would not be on your organization. That would be our policy that would cover that. All we ask that you do is teach them some new skills and mentor them so they can start to move forward. People who are ready in the public assistance programs for this program, we've already worked on a lot of their barriers. People on assistance is like a continuum, right? So we identify what the issues are. They need childcare and they don't have that yet, or they need housing assistance, or what have you. And once they get to this point where they're really kind of ready to go back to work, this is a good chance for them. Very low risk for your company because you're not paying them, so it doesn't work out for some reason, right? Not really that big of a deal. I like to say help out your organization and help somebody else out, an actual person at the same time. So it's kind of a win for you and it's a win for them. Next slide. Jobs Plus, this is a subsidized wage program. So what this does is these are also people on public assistance programs. They've usually already done an unpaid work experience at this point, and so they're even more ready. And this is like that final push to get people back into the workplace. They're really motivated, right, to go back to work. Really quick myth busting. Most people on assistance programs really do want to work, really want to get back to work. Sometimes they just have barriers, like I mentioned, that continuum, and we work to get them to that point. People on assistance do not receive a lot of money. An average TANF grant, assistance grant for a family of 3 is $500. That's not a lot of money, right? So even working minimum wage, people are going to be way better off. So at this point, this is a chance for you to hire somebody on and you get some payroll reimbursements. We reimburse partial wages, and we also give you an additional amount to help you cover payroll taxes while they're working for you. This is a real, actual payroll job, so they're on your payroll. It's 6 months, 30 hours a week or more, which is what we classify as full time. And you would classify them as a temporary worker in your workforce. So they would be like any other temp, except you're getting some reimbursements. And just like with the work experience program, we just ask you to mentor them, teach them some new skills. You're also not required to hire them permanently at the end of the temporary 6 month period. If you do, that's great. We love that. But if you don't, they have something now new on their resume and they have a good reference from you, right? And so over 60%, when we look at the data over time, over 60% of Jobs Plus participants do end up with a permanent job, either with the company they were working with or they use that experience and that good reference to get another permanent job. So it's a really, really good program. Childcare assistance is our next slide here. And I'm moving at a fast clip because there's a lot of other speakers here, but you can always reach out to me later on for a one-on-one conversation. I do a lot of those with people, so you're not bothering me. Please hit me up. I'd love to talk to you about any of these items or to just explore what your needs are and your gaps are and see how we can fill those in state government land. Childcare assistance. So this is a program where ODHS pays about 70% of the childcare costs for working people. So you might have people working for your organization that make minimum wage, or maybe not a lot of a minimum wage. They're not high income workers, and they may be eligible then for assistance with childcare. Stable childcare is a factor, right, in people keeping their jobs and people showing up on a regular basis. So this is a retention effort for your organization if you can get access to them. All you would do is advertise this, right? I can get you a flyer if you want and say, hey, here's a program, you're struggling with childcare. You might want to see if you qualify for this program. If you're a small business owner and you're not making a lot of money yet because you just got started, you might qualify for this childcare program as well, and you'll be able to get assistance for a while until you start making more money. Also, college students qualify for this. So if you were a college student or you know someone in your family or a neighbor or a friend who is a college student and they have children, they will qualify for this program as well. And they don't even have to be working. So normally it's working people, but college students, regardless of whether they're employed or not, can qualify for this program and get childcare assistance. As we all know, childcare is really, really expensive, right? And so it is a nice way to help people move forward. Next slide. Oregon Health Plan. I am not expert in this. Transparency right up front. This is more Heather's scope right here. So Heather Erlings, I can connect you with her. But the basics here, which I do know, are Oregon Health Plan is a health insurance program in Oregon through the state. And this is a way for low-income workers or a very small business owner that's just gotten started to have access to health insurance. And so it's very low-cost healthcare assistance. People with health insurance and health insurance for their children. Again, that's retention. They tend to show up a lot more often. They're not afraid, about their kids getting sick or themselves getting sick, and they have access then, to that health insurance program. Or again, a small business owner having access to health insurance, that can be a huge, huge deal, right? For you as well. So this is always an option there. And then recent expansions of coverage. There are some new policies where people who might have been over income previously for Oregon Health Program can look into the Bridge program. If you want to know more about health insurance programs, whether that's for Oregon Health Insurance Marketplace, Oregon Health Plan, Medicare, Medicaid, or anything regarding health in any capacity, reach out to me. I will get you connected with Heather, and she would be glad to have a conversation with you. So that was kind of a really quick overview right there of some things. You're going to hear about work opportunity tax credit. You're going to hear about federal bonding. I'm also expert in those programs. Selena is, the definite go-to there. But you can also reach out. Selena will tell you a lot about WOTC as well. And Jerry did mention that veterans is the highest dollar category, but over 90 to 95% of WOTC recipients or employers getting certified for that in Oregon every year are usually DHS program participants, SNAP, food benefits, or TANF, which is public assistance. So not stealing Selena's thunder, she's going to present on that here, but you can see my information and Heather's in here, and I believe that Stacy popped that into the chat. I think I saw that go by there as well, but I'm going to go ahead and put that in there as well again. All right, Ta-da, big finish. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Greg. That was awesome. That was a ton of great information. And yes, I did put the contact information in the chat. I'll tell you this one again. I will be giving all contact information for presenters today and the recording in an email to every participant and registrant probably next week. So just wanted to plug that. I'll remind you again. So next up, I have the absolute pleasure to introduce Kim Copeland. She will be presenting on vocational rehabilitation and Oregon Commission for the Blind. Kim, you're up.
Thank you so much, Stacy. Good morning, everyone. And I believe, like Jerry said, thank you all for being here. We know it's been a little bit of a wild winter start to our day, so we're happy to have you. As Stacy just mentioned, my name is Kim Copeland. I am a statewide workforce and business coordinator for vocational rehabilitation. That is a mouthful. We call Voc Rehab or VR for short. And I am presenting on both the VR program and our good friends and close business partners over at Oregon Commission for the Blind, who I will refer to as OCB because we have some very, very long names. Okay, next slide. So who are VR and OCB? We are programs that are available all throughout the state of Oregon. OCB is a standalone agency, and Voc Rehab falls under the agency of Oregon Department of Human Services. So we are part of ODHS. We are VR and OCB receive federal funding, and so we're very happy to report that our services are at there's no outlay of costs by businesses or the career seekers with disabilities who seek our services. So today we're focusing on what are our services specifically to business because you are our audience. But just as a little tidbit, both of our programs provide services to individual Oregonians who experience disabilities. And Oregon Commission for the Blind, of course, there's a hint in the name. They focus on providing services to individuals who who are blind, maybe experience vision loss or low vision. And VR provides services to individuals who experience all other qualifying disabilities. And so together, we serve both individuals and businesses. And we have teams, both of our programs have teams of professionals. And so what I mean by that is we both have workforce teams. I am part of that workforce team. And our workforce teams cover the entire state, partnering with business, which I'll talk about a little bit more, I believe, in the next slide. But we also have teams of professionals that are in all of our offices throughout the state. So we have branch managers, counselors, other support staff, and we also contract other experts as needed to provide services to individuals and businesses. And we are really a resource for all of you. Today's focus is business. So when you think about disability in your workplace, we really hope that you think about VR and OCB, and we'll reach out with any and all questions that you might have. So I mentioned that both of our programs have workforce teams that cover the entire state. So no matter where you are in Oregon, if you are a business and you have questions about disability, we are here to partner with you. And in fact, we focus on developing long-term partnerships. So you're not allowed, say, just one call and that's all we take. We will help and work with you as long as you have needs. And that's what we really hope to do is build those long-term collaborations. We want to meet with you. You know, Jerry mentioned coming out and meeting with you in person, talked about coffee. We have a lot of coffee fanatics on our team as well, but we like to meet with a business, whether it's virtual or in person. We love to learn about what your hiring needs are, learn more about your job openings, because we want to make sure that if we are referring a career seeker, we want to make sure that they're a very strong match to the opening that you're trying to fill. We also work with all of our partners that are on this, that are presenting to all of you today. So if we at VR or OCB learn of an opening that you might have, and say we don't have any individuals that we're working with after connecting with all of those that we need to connect with, say we don't have a good match, we will share out your opportunity with all of our other partners, because VR or OCB might not have a good match, but maybe Jerry with the Veterans Program does. So we work together to serve you, because it hopefully makes your life easier as well. Some of the many things we do, a lot of it's very similar to what Jerry with the vet program talked about. I could have said ditto, ditto, ditto all along his presentation, but just to reiterate, some of the many things that we do is we will help you as a business with recruitment. So if you're hosting a hiring event, please let us know. We will make sure to share that out with the masses and get the word out. If you want to talk to us about partaking in or having us help you host a hiring event, we will do so, and again, bring in all of our partners here. If you want to do outreach and connect with maybe a talent pool that you've never considered before, we are here to help you with that. And think about if you have an employee who might experience a disability and you need to figure out how to move forward, because you want to, of course, you want to retain that long-term employee who brings such value to your business. We will help you regarding retention of existing employees. So new employees or existing, we are here to help and answer your questions. We provide training on disability in your workplace. We have a long list of topics to fit your needs. And so we are here to talk to you about what would you like to learn about regarding disability in your workplace. And we tailor that training session. Again, no cost involved for these trainings, so a lot of businesses take us up on the offer. We can provide that training in person. We can do it virtually. And really, it can be for any size group. Maybe there's some businesses that'll start out and have us train their HR team and their department heads, and then they'll expand that, and maybe they have us back for another training where they're having us train the entire organization, all employees. So we are here to talk that through with you and figure out what your needs are. Trainings are oftentimes an hour, sometimes two if they want more in depth. So reach out if you have questions, and we'd be happy to talk with you about that. You can consider us really your personal consultant. If you have questions about accommodations in the workplace, or maybe you've heard of assistive technology, but you don't know how that would look in your place of business, reach out to VR and OCB. We are here to answer any and all questions. And if we're not the experts and have the right answer for you, the beauty is we are connected very well. And so we have a long list of other partners that are resources, and we might be able to refer you to somebody who can answer your question better than we can. So why should businesses partner with Voc Rehab and Oregon Commission for the Blind? Well, the fact is that it is it's I just lost my train of thought. It is expected, anticipated, it's estimated, there's the word, that almost 30% of all adults in the entire United States experience some type of disability. Almost 30%. That's tremendous. Here in Oregon, that's over 1 million adults, and these are career-seeking adults. And so really, as a business, can you afford to overlook this large talent pool? Probably not. And so Jerry, in talking about vets, he touched on a number of things that are the business case for hiring vets. There's also statistics and study after study that shows the business case of hiring people with disabilities, as far as increased employee satisfaction for all, high retention, value, and performance. And so I don't have time to dive into that today, but there's a business case for hiring people with disabilities, as they have experience and education and skills and abilities just like everybody else. Stacy, do I see your hand up? Do you need me to pause for a moment?
No, Kim, I was just giving you a gentle time.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry about that. And you can go ahead and take us to the next slide. We have a joint VR and OCB flyer that is electronic that I believe Stacy's going to share a link in the chat box, and we can also send that to you as well. It definitely is a highlight of what I've presented to all of you today. And if you'll take us to the next slide, Stacy, I will wrap things up. One thing I would invite all of you to do is to reach out to VR and OCB so we can get you on our Lunch and Learn for Business. It's a reoccurring virtual training that we offer a handful of times a year. It's specific for business to learn about disability. You can just pop in and learn, and we'll be hosting 4 events this year. Send us an email and we can add you to our distribution list to invite you to those 4 sessions. You can send us an email based on the email addresses on the screen. You can also connect with us via LinkedIn. So Oregon Commission for the Blind can be found via their name on LinkedIn. VR has to be, you have to follow the Oregon Department of Human Services to connect with VR on LinkedIn. And we also invite you to attend, to pop into our breakout session at the end of everybody's presentations today. Last thing I'll mention is that we do provide services to adults and youth job seekers transitioning from high school and college. So we really have the gamut of career seekers to fill your needs. So reach out to us, and thanks again for your time.
Thank you so much, Kim. We appreciate all the work you do as well.
Thank you.
We're so lucky to have these presenters today. They do such great work. And I get to introduce our next presenter, Zoe Takadena. And please tell us more about the Preferred Worker Program.
Yes, thank you, Stacy. Good morning, everybody. My name is Zoe Takadena, and I am a reemployment specialist with the Workers' Compensation Division Preferred Worker Program. So those of you who don't know about the Preferred Worker Program, which a lot of people don't, I'm happy to kind of share some information about that program and then also one other program that we oversee. Next slide. So the objective of the Preferred Worker Program is that our whole goal is that we are aimed at helping people who have been injured on the job get back to work as quickly as possible. And the way that we do that is we help administer benefits to not only the workers who've been injured by making sure that they're job ready, but also we have a ton of hiring incentives for the employer as well to either hire a preferred worker or bring back their worker that has been injured back to work instead of letting them go. Next slide. Okay, so there's 2 different programs that we oversee. The first one is the Employer Injury Program, or EAP as we typically refer to it. EAP is aimed at helping reduce return to work costs for employers. If you don't know about this program as a business owner, you need to know about it. So the whole purpose is that if, as a business owner, if you have an employee who's injured on the job and they have any type of restriction that the doctor gives them that prevents them from doing their entire job. So for example, if they're a dishwasher and they cut their hand and they have to keep it dry so they can no longer wash dishes, so you have to move them to another area. Essentially, there's a whole pool of benefits to help you bring them back to work and reduce all those costs. For example, there's a wage subsidy benefit, so you can get 50% of their wages back during the time that they are in light duty, up to 66 days. There is also a worksite modification benefit. So there's $5,000 to where we can either modify the job that they're doing, we can create a new position. So if maybe you don't have any light duty work that you could offer them, there's that $5,000 you can utilize to help create a new job so that they can do light duty during that time. And the great thing about that as well is anything that is purchased under the Employer Injury Program becomes the property of the employer. So for example, if you bring them into the office and you need a desk and a computer and a chair, and then once their light duty ends and they go back to their previous job, all of that equipment is yours to keep to utilize however you wish down the road. So again, the whole goal is to kind of reduce employers' return to work costs, keep claims costs down. So it's an excellent program. It is something that's administered through your workers' compensation insurance company. So if it's something that you are interested in utilizing, as soon as you have an employee who has any type of restriction, contact your insurance company right away and let them know that you'd like to utilize EAP. And then that brings us to preferred worker program. So preferred worker is kind of the big brother to the employer injury program. So it comes into play after the claim has already closed, and if that worker ends up with any type of permanent work restriction, then they would become a preferred worker. So so that's kind of the differentiation there. So there's incentives as well with the preferred worker program to keep the worker. So maybe you use the employer injury program, now the claim is closed, they become a preferred worker. There's huge benefits to the employer to keep that worker on the workforce. But also you can just hire a preferred worker. You don't have to be the employer injury. And so the purpose is to, again, reduce the cost incurred by you, the employer, and also claims costs. And I'll kind of get a little bit more into those benefits on the next slide. Okay, so this is the big one that comes with hiring a preferred worker is that you receive the premium exemption benefit, but also a claims cost reimbursement benefit. So premium exemption is where you as the employer do not have to pay work comp premiums on that preferred worker for 3 whole years. So depending on what type of business you own, that can be a huge cost savings to you. The other benefit to that is the claims cost reimbursement. So we liken it to kind of like a warranty on that worker. So essentially, during that 3-year premium exemption timeframe, if that worker is to be injured at any time during that 3 years, and that's if they're injured once or they're injured 100 times during that 3 years, essentially we own that claim. So the preferred worker program basically reimburse all of the costs associated with that new injury. That includes medical, that includes any time loss payments, that includes settlements, litigation, that includes if, 5 years down the road, they reopen the claim for an aggravation, we own that claim for life. So that does not increase your workers' compensation premiums for down the road. So essentially, they're a no-risk employee for 3 years, which is something that really no other employee can offer to you. So it's a huge benefit to the employer. Next slide, please. The other benefit is the wage subsidy benefit. So just like with EAP, there's a wage subsidy benefit, but it's a much larger amount. So the preferred worker has a $40,000 lifetime max, but essentially we can provide 50% of their gross wages reimbursed for up to 6 months. So that's a huge benefit. As you know, as a business owner, payroll is one of the biggest costs of doing business. So any way that we can help reduce that cost is what we're trying to do. Next slide. So also again, like EAP, there's a worksite creation benefit. So if you're wanting to create a new position for that preferred worker, or maybe you're wanting to create an additional position. So if you have 4 mechanics, but you need a 5th one, there's $5,000 that can be used to create that new job. And that's whatever is needed to create the job, whether that be, help purchasing a vehicle or again, desk, chair, computer, whatever that job is, there's $5,000 that can be utilized to create that position. And again, that anything that is purchased under the creation benefit becomes the property of the employer. So that's something that you can utilize down the road, even if that preferred worker no longer works for you. Okay, next slide. Worksite modification, this is the other huge benefit. So, we understand that hiring a preferred worker, there may be some limitations that that worker has. And so in order to bridge that gap between their limitations and what their job duties are, there's a worksite modification benefit. So they have $35,000 to where we can come in and help modify that job. And that can look like a number of things. We've purchased things like heavy machinery. We've purchased drones for, roof estimators. It's just endless. Really, whatever the job requires them to do and whatever their limitation is, we can kind of tailor that and specialize what the need is and come in and help purchase that equipment. Again, most of that equipment is going to become the property of the employer. And the great thing about that also is that if the preferred worker is not utilizing that equipment, then other employees can use that equipment as well. So that helps reduce risk exposure and prevent possibly other injuries as well, or even increase productivity. Next slide. Okay, so this is a lot of information all at once, but this is my contact information. I'm always happy to kind of help answer questions. And again, I'll be in one of the breakout rooms afterwards as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Zoe. That was great information. I loved learning about your program. Thank you for sharing that. So next up, I get to introduce Selena Kernberger. She's going to be presenting on the Work Opportunity Tax Credit and federal bonding. You're up.
Thank you so much. Good morning to everyone. It's a pleasure to have you all with us here today. We have had like a good 100 people, which is great, especially considering the conditions of the day. So again, my name is Selena Kernberger, and I'm going to be sharing information about the Work Opportunity Tax Credit as well as federal bonding. So what is WOTC, the Work Opportunity Tax Credit? It is a federal incentive. So kind of like Jerry explained, we get the federal dollars and it comes to each state to implement. So the federal incentive goes to employers who are hiring people, a wide variety of scenarios for groups that are facing different employment challenges. And we'll talk a little bit more about what all those might be. So what has to happen to get the credit is the employer has to receive a certification from the state telling the IRS that the new hire is indeed eligible through one of the qualifying employment challenge categories in order to get their credit. So for the traditional taxable employer scenario, WOTC is going to apply towards traditional income taxes. Tax-exempt employers are also able to participate in the program. It just looks a little bit different in that they're only going to be looking at the veteran categories, and it will apply against Social Security tax. So the process for using the Work Opportunity Tax Credit really needs to happen during your hiring process. There's two forms that make up a complete WOTC application. The first one is called the 8850, and it's a pre-screening form that will ask candidates to check a box identifying if they fit within one of the many qualifying categories. The nice thing about the form is although people are identifying certain categories, they are also not going to be identifying protected class types of information in that pre-screen. So the employer is protected still from that as well as the candidate. So from there, if the person does mark a box and the employer continues them in the hiring process, meaning they're now going to offer a job. Then a second form would be introduced, which is the 9061, and that's where the particulars are provided, which is what the state will need in order to determine eligibility for the category that they've indicated they fit within. So at that point, the candidate is now a new hire and they can feel secure that they have the job. And so then hopefully they don't feel any kind of way about offering up the details so that the employer can get the tax credit. So like I said, the 2 forms is the complete application. Those need to be turned into the state within 28 days from when the new hire begins work. So that's very important. And that's why implementing the process and the forms early on and just making it a part of your hiring process is so important, because that way you're catching any individuals that may fit criteria up front. You have the forms you need so you can get them turned in within those 28 days. Those can be turned in online. We have a portal is what we call it. You essentially create an account and submit it that way, or you can also mail it in. You just don't get as much interaction that way. Then at the end of the year, if your applications were certifiable, meaning your new hire did indeed meet criteria, and we issued you a certificate, you claim that certificate and you turn it into the IRS with your appropriate IRS forms for claiming tax credit. And then you just repeat that process year after year so that you can continue claiming the credit for all of your eligible new hires. So it is a one-time credit per new hire, but however many new hires you have, you can repeat that on and on. There's no limit on how many new hires you can bring on to earn credit. So some of the scenarios, the WOTC category. So you've heard some of the presenters earlier on, and I thank them so much. They are my bestest friends for helping to spread the word to you all and others that they talk with on a regular basis, because we have a lot of common customers. So we talked about the DHS programs. So people that are receiving food assistance or SNAP, or family cash aid assistance or TANF. Those can earn you anywhere from $2,400 up to $9,000 in credit. There's also going to be individuals convicted or released from prison within the last year due to a felony, and that's up to $2,400. SSI recipients or vocational rehabilitation participants would be the $2,400. And then a lot of the folks, that are going to be working with potentially WorkSource centers, they could be a preferred worker. They could also be anybody else that are unemployed for 27 or more weeks and that they earned at least 1 week of unemployment insurance would be a $2,400 credit. And then there's also multiple veteran categories. So the veteran categories, essentially, it's not just that they're a veteran, but it would be that they're a veteran and they have different periods of unemployment, or they're a veteran and they have a disability, or they're a veteran and they receive SNAP. So it's a combination of veteran plus some of these other categories. And you can get some of the highest credit through hiring veterans, which would be up to the $9,600 in credit. So then how the IRS will determine the actual amount of credit. So you might have noticed that I kept saying up to $2,400, up to $9,600, is they look at how many hours the individual works for you within their first year. So if somebody works between 120 and 399 hours, then it's going to be a partial credit. And so if it's anything less than 120, then it will not be eligible for the tax credit. Then if you have somebody that stays on or works more hours, then that will be the 400 or plus hours, then you'll get that top credit amount. And so that's up to 24, you'd get the 2,400. Up to 96, you'd get the 9,600. There's a breakdown, because that's a lot of math. I don't know about you, but I don't know, cold weather, time of day, math is just not my thing. So we have a handy dandy chart on our website, OregonTaxCredit.org, that gives you eligible worker information that breaks it all out for you and makes it simple. The other nice thing about this is especially if you're doing a lot of hiring of individuals that get you the credit, maybe you're not going to be able to use all of the credit that you earn within that same year. You are able to hold on to that credit for up to 20 years and apply it to other tax years. So this infographic depicts the fact that WOTC is interconnected with a lot of different partners and agencies for a variety of reasons. One is like you've heard today, that we have a lot of partners that are helping get the word out about this great program. And we definitely rely on a lot of them to work with you all to get you connected. The other part is representing the fact that you don't necessarily have the burden of proof to show that your new hire does meet the criteria for the WOTC credit. So that's an amazing thing, meaning that you basically are just having to get those 2 forms filled out and you're not having to collect anything more from your new hire. We have connections so that we can find that proof for you. So that makes it nice and easy. I will tell you that the timing on when we're able to determine eligibility is going to vary depending on the category. So for instance, with the SNAP and TANF, there's just different timeframes on how long we have to wait to see if somebody did or did not continue getting SNAP. But we also get information from them on a regular basis. So in certain scenarios, we know that answer right away. And then there's other ones where we have to send out a request for information and then they send it back to us, so it can take several months. So I just like to throw that out there. For some cases, you might know the answer right away. For others, it could be several months before you'll know the answer. So this is our team contact information. You've got the QR code that's going to take you to OregonTaxCredit.org. There's a ton of information on there, so kept it fairly high level for today. But there's a lot more information on the website. There is a contact form on there, as well as it has our contact information listed here on that. All of the forms that you need to get going on implementing that into your hiring process, a link to the portal, you can create your account, everything, it's on that website. If you do need any assistance at all, please don't hesitate to fill out the contact form or email us at that team email. So then without further ado on WOTC, we're going to move on to federal bonding. So although I'm talking about these in sync, they are 2 completely different programs. So I just want to make that clear. So federal bonding, that is what we call a fidelity bond, and it is given to the employer at no cost, and it would fit for different at-risk type of category scenarios for your new hire. Each bond that you would request is worth $5,000. You can request up to 5 bonds equaling $25,000, which essentially gives you insurance coverage to protect against any loss that it could incur from this new hire through fraudulent or dishonest actions. So the new employee scenarios that would qualify for a bond, some of them do sound familiar to WOTC, but they're not exactly the same. So again, just pointing out, they are definitely different programs, okay? So it's any individual involved with the justice system. So that doesn't mean they have to have a felony conviction. It can be any sort of criminal involvement with the justice system, okay? It can be individuals that are in recovery from substance abuse. It could be youth or adults that are lacking work history. That could include a TANF recipient. It could be somebody that has a poor credit history and the job requires that they have good credit. It could be dishonorably discharged military, and it can even be individuals hired through a staffing agency. So if that's one of your practices, this might just be an extra add-on to help support what you're doing for just in case types of scenarios. So then the bonds are good for 6 months from when the person starts. And then the employer would have the option to pay to continue that if they would like. Specifically, what the coverage is for theft, forgery, larceny, and embezzlement. So that really is it. A lot of times the questions we get are, oh, does it cover poor workmanship or, different things like that. No, this is specifically what it covers. So just to clarify that is what it covers. And it's really super easy though to ask for. So again, it's just some nice added protection. You literally are going to go to the website, bondsforjobs.oregon.gov, and you give us your information. You give us your new hires information. You tell us which scenario fits, and we issue the bond. There's really not like an application where we're looking for certain things. You don't have to provide any kind of documentation. You just tell us and we say, great, and we issue it to you. So that one's pretty straightforward and easy. Again, here's a QR code and contact information if you have any questions. And we'll be here for the breakout rooms at the end. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much, Selena. You always do such an incredible job presenting on those programs. We really appreciate it. And now I'm really excited to introduce Kate James, and she will be presenting on the Trade Adjustment Assistance Program. Kate, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Stacy. As Stacy said, my name is Kate James, and I'm with the Trade Adjustment Assistance for Workers program. So this morning, I'll be providing some information about the program, including the different employer connections with the Trade Act program and also on-the-job training. So a little bit about us, the Trade Adjustment Assistance for Workers program is also referred to as the Trade Act program, and it's a federal reemployment program that assists workers whose jobs have been impacted by foreign competition. So Trade Act helps affected workers become suitably employed, and this is done through case management, reemployment services, retraining, job search and relocation allowances, income support, and also wage subsidies. So in general, there are two parts to the Trade Act program. There's Trade Adjustment Assistance, often referred to as TAA, and also the Trade Readjustment Allowances, or TRA. And Trade Adjustment Assistance offers employment and case management services, occupational and work-based training, job search and relocation allowances, and also technology access. With trade readjustment allowances, that provides weekly cash payments to eligible workers who are enrolled in training programs and who've exhausted their unemployment benefits in order to support them financially during their retraining program. So this program, in addition to supporting job seekers, it also benefits employers. And some of those employer connections, as my colleagues have already mentioned, we have some overlap in some of these areas, but Trade Adjustment Assistance program offers highly skilled, work-ready applicants. So trade-affected workers lost their job at no fault of their own and are often highly skilled, have years of work experience, and they want to return to work quickly at the wage and skill level or greater to their trade impacted work. So when engaging trade benefits and services, Trade Act customers have a support group of career coaches and business service team staff to help them into training and get them work ready. And some of that work ready prep includes interview practice, resume and cover letter development, and also other coaching and training to help them into their occupational goal quickly. Job development assistance is also a key part of this, and the business service team can pre-screen candidates for employers and assist with job development based on the employer need and candidate experience. On-the-job training development is also a benefit, and this includes up to a 50% regular wage reimbursement to employers during training. And we're going to discuss this benefit in more detail on the next slide. Job search and relocation allowances are another benefit, which increases the qualified applicant pool for employers to really include a statewide recruitment. So qualified Trade Act job seekers may be eligible for reimbursement to travel to an interview outside of their commuting area, and they may be eligible for moving cost reimbursements to move themselves and their families for a suitable work position. So on-the-job training is a benefit that combines both training and full-time permanent employment. So it's a win-win for the employer and the job seeker. On-the-job training is considered a hiring incentive for employers. So if you've identified a candidate you'd like to hire, but you have identified a skills gap, on-the-job training can provide a wage compensation to you while your new employee is in training at your company. And it's a great opportunity for job seekers with that prior work experience. They come in employed full-time day one, and they're earning a full-time wage in a permanent position, all while being trained in that new role. Some of the benefits to the on-the-job training include up to 50% of a wage reimbursement directly to the employer. Also, moving through the circles along the right, moving to the right, the next one would be the Trade Act program can purchase any tools or supplies that would be required of any new hire that you'd hire into that same position. Trade Act on the job training can be up to 104 total weeks of training time. Hiring through on-the-job training is hiring a full-time permanent employee on that day one, hour one, and the goal is that that will continue in that capacity in that position even after the on-the-job training incentive is completed. So when the training is done, that person will continue on in that full-time permanent role. Trade Act on-the-job training can also include classroom training along with work-based training, if that's an identified need as something that is needed to be met through that skill gap assessment. So not only can the training be provided in person on the work site, if the skill gap is something that could be trained to maybe through the local community college or other opportunities, we can also combine classroom training into that work-based learning and still have that part of the OJT experience. The Trade Act and Business Services teams manage the training plan and the paperwork process, so you as busy employers don't have to do that. So our staff works with you and the job seeker to develop a training plan quickly, and they manage the paperwork through the process so you can focus on your business and employees with very minimal paperwork. And then lastly, we process reimbursements quickly, and we do that monthly so that we can complete that process for you in a very timely way. And with that, I'd like to thank you for attending. And if you have any follow-up questions or would like more information about the program or specifically on the job training, I'll see you in the breakout room. Otherwise, please feel free to reach out at the contact information above. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kate. That was great information. I am now excited for Rebecca to present on the WorkShare program. Rebecca, take it away.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Feltner, and I work for WorkShare program. You can go ahead and forward to the next slide, please. This is the Oregon Employment Department's vision statement. It's an Oregon where meaningful work enables the state's diverse people and businesses to realize their full potential, creating prosperity in every community. The vision is the foundation of what WorkShare is. We want to be a resource and a bridge that gaps for businesses to sustain and retain their employees while the economy may be slow. As we know, communities aren't just the makeup of the people that live there, it's the businesses and employees that are located there as well. We're here to create awareness, be a resource and a partner, and an advocate for businesses to help workers stay connected with their jobs and for businesses to stay open. Next slide, please. 31 other states also have a version of this program, so it's important to note that because many businesses right now are allowing for remote work. If you have employees that are not working in Oregon, they may still qualify for a short-time compensation program in another state. Go ahead and next slide, please. How does it work? As an employer, there may be times when your business may experience slowness and you face the possibility of having to lay off employees. As an alternative, the WorkShare program allows you to reduce the hours of your employees between 10 and 50%. Next slide, please. WorkShare will help supplement your employees' wages by paying them the 10 to 50% of their weekly benefit amount on their unemployment insurance claim. So if you would need to reduce your employees' work outside of the WorkShare range, you can still submit the weekly certification. Your employee may or may not qualify for benefits for that week, depending on their weekly benefit amount and earnings. We also understand that there may be times when your employees' hours may be needing to reduce to zero or maybe temporarily laid off. When this happens, they would just submit a weekly certification and then they could still receive benefits. There are limits to this situation as you cannot use it for more than 4 times in a row and your employees may exhaust their benefits much more quickly. Next slide, please. The employer's benefits, WorkShare is designed to allow you to preserve trained staff and save money in the long run, benefiting both the employer and the employee. Businesses can maintain their product and service levels by being able to adjust staffing to meet their needs, and then your trained employees are available to take on more hours when business picks up. WorkShare also helps businesses reduce the cost of hiring and training new employees. And then employee morale is less likely to suffer when employees know there is a safety net if business slows down. And even if you don't expect any need to lay off employers or reduce their work hours, WorkShare serves as a safety net in the event of unforeseen circumstances. Having a plan in place enables you to adapt to unexpected events that may impact your business. If you don't need it, there's no obligation to use it. Next slide, please. And then benefiting employees. When a company participates in WorkShare, the employees are less likely to be laid off. They can maintain their skills and qualifications and continue to progress in their job instead of potentially having to start over somewhere new. They don't lose their health or retirement benefits when applying for the WorkShare plan. Employers agree to maintain all health and retirement benefits as if the employee was still working their full hours. And then employees are able to keep working and earning partial wages while also receiving partial unemployment benefits. Regular unemployment benefits base the weekly amount on weekly earnings, but the WorkShare benefits are based on the reduction instead of the earnings. If an employee is reduced by 20% in hours and earnings, that employee will receive 20% of their established weekly benefit amount. That employee could have earned $10,000 for that week. And if on WorkShare, they would still receive 20% of their weekly benefit amount. Go ahead and go to the next, thank you. For an employee to participate in WorkShare, they need to submit an initial claim to qualify for an unemployment claim. And then all participants will have to serve a waiting week. That waiting week is the first week a claimant qualifies for benefits and is not paid out. Every new initial claim must serve a waiting week. The employee would then have their hours reduced to within that 10 to 50% range as needed. And then the employee must also be fully available to work the hours that you have available for them to work. If they're on vacation or otherwise choose not to work, they may not be eligible to receive benefits. But if you have work available for an employee and that employee cannot work those hours, we call that a missed opportunity to work. And the employee may not receive benefits for that WorkShare week. However, there are exceptions to this if the employee is using accrued leave due to illness, caring for someone who's sick, jury duty, bereavement leave. If you would like more details on missed work opportunities, there is a follow-up webinar where we do a webinar every Thursday that's navigating your WorkShare plan at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We also do an intro to the WorkShare webinar that is available on Tuesday mornings, every Tuesday. And those links are available on our website, which we'll be providing here toward the end of the presentation. We're just going to go over those program steps one more time. Step 1, you would just submit the WorkShare application in the participant list. Then our staff review and process that application. And if there are any issues, We will reach out and try to fix those issues. Once we finish processing your WorkShare plan application, you will receive an approval email. And then your employees then submit their initial claims in Francis online, which is our operating system. Our staff will process the initial claim and reach out if there's any issues or discrepancies. And then step 3, employees just submit their weekly claims. We receive and process weekly claims, and your employees will begin receiving their benefits. If there's any missed work opportunities, our staffs may be in contact to gather more information as needed. Thank you. If you have any questions, I got a breakout room coming up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. That was awesome. Great news on that. And last, but certainly not least, I am going to introduce Dora Herrera to you, and she'll be telling us about the foreign labor certification. Go ahead, Dora.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dora Herrera. Thank you, Stacy. And I am the Foreign Labor Certification Program Coordinator for the state of Oregon. You have heard from a lot of great people and programs this morning, but if none of those fit your specific needs, then there's always the Foreign Labor Certification Program. Next slide. So there are 3 different types of labor certifications employers can apply for: H-2A, H-2A special procedures, and H-2B. We will discuss each type of visa type in a little more depth in the following slides. So what is the Foreign Labor Certification Program? So the Foreign Labor Certification Program allows employers who anticipate a shortage of domestic workers to bring non-immigrant foreign workers to the United States on a temporary visa to perform services of a temporary or seasonal nature. The H-2A program is geared towards jobs in connection with agriculture and conducted on a farm. Employers must first prove there are not sufficient able, willing, and qualified domestic workers available to perform the agricultural labor or services of a temporary or seasonal nature. And also that the employment of the H-2A workers will not adversely affect the wages and working conditions of workers in the U.S. similarly employed. So the H-2A Special Procedures Program allows employment of foreign workers in jobs related to the herding or production of livestock on the range. On the range is key. So work is in remote areas and requires non-traditional work schedules with workers generally on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So employers who use the H-2A or the H-2A Special Procedures Program are required to provide housing free of charge. We partner with Oregon OSHA to ensure employer-provided housing is in compliance. So the H-2B program is for work not related to agriculture. Similar to the other 2 programs, the United States Department of Labor must determine that there are not sufficient U.S. workers who are qualified and who will be available to perform the temporary services or labor, and that the employment of H-2B workers will not adversely affect the wages and working conditions of similarly employed U.S. workers. Examples of H-2B jobs in Oregon are reforestation, landscapers, housekeepers, cooks, caregivers, and several other occupations. So I know that was short and sweet, but if you want to learn more about each program, you can visit the Foreign Labor Application Gateway and select the visa type you're interested in. This is my contact information. So if you want to talk more in depth, or you can always contact me, or we can visit shortly in the breakout room. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dora. Okay, I should have stopped sharing. Just want to say thank you all to attending and listening to these incredible presentations. I did get some great questions in direct messages to me. So I absolutely encourage you all to go to the breakout rooms, which I will open up right now. I'll do that. open all rooms. So you should have gotten a pop-up box right up on your screen. You can choose which room you would like to attend. The presenters are going to go in there now. If you don't see the pop-up box, you can navigate there via the menu at the bottom of your screen. It says breakout rooms. If it doesn't exist there, press the more button with the ellipses and you'll see the breakout room section there. So as I mentioned in the beginning, go ask questions, listen. These subject matter experts are incredible and they'll be able to answer your questions. And once you're done there, you can exit the application as our webinar is done. We really appreciate all of you. If you have any questions, reach out.